Gina? Gutom na? Dapat gardenia. Nutritious. Convenient. Gina? G! Gutom na? Gardenia. Gina? Oh, gardenia na. Gina? Gutom na? Mag-gardenia na. Masarap anytime, anyway, anywhere. Gina? G! Gutom na? Gardenia. Gina? Oh, gardenia na. Gina? Gutom na? Dapat gardenia. Nutritious. Convenient. Gina? G! Gutom na? Gardenia. Gina? Oh, gardenia na.
Okay. Good morning and welcome to Business Mirror's Coffee Club, where we discuss the latest and hottest news items. I am your host, Anne Ruth De La Cruz, Special Projects Editor of Business Mirror. We are live streaming through the Facebook pages of Business Mirror, Philippines Graphic, and Cook Magazine. You can also catch us on Business Mirror's YouTube channel. The title of today's forum is Sustainability Reporting, Sustaining the Sustainable. And we will be discussing sustainability reporting, a new Securities and Exchange Commission requirement for publicly listed companies. Sustainability reporting has emerged as a common practice for companies globally. In fact, 93% of the world's largest 250 companies and 75% of the top 100 companies in 49 countries report on sustainability. However, for the Philippines, less than 22% of publicly listed companies have published a report on sustainability impacts and performances. The need to promote sustainability reporting to Philippine companies served as the impetus for the Securities and Exchange Commission to include Principle 10 in the Code of Corporate Governance for publicly listed companies, stating that companies should ensure that material and reportable non financial and sustainability issues are disclosed. This morning, we have a distinguished panel of speakers who will discuss sustainability reporting and how companies decide on what to include in this report. Our first guest is a law professor of the Rizal Memorial College's School of Law in Davao, a MCLE lecturer for various institutions, and a business columnist of the Manila Times. Prior to joining the commission, he was an assistant secretary in the Office of the Executive Secretary of the Office of the President, where he was also designated to sit on the board of the Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority. He earned a bachelor's degree from the Ateneo de Manila University, a Juris Doctor degree from the Ateneo de Manila School of Law, and certificates from the University of Cambridge's FinTech and Regulatory Innovation Program, and the Toronto Center's Regional Leadership Program for Securities Regulators. Before entering government service, he practiced law in Davao and Manila. He was formerly the opinion and legal columnist of the Sunstar Davao newspaper. Here is Commissioner Kelvin Lester K. Lee of the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Thank you,
Our
Ma'am
second,
Anne.
yes, thank you. Our second guest joined the management of his present company only last December 2020. Before this, he was a senior manager for the Corporate Affairs Department of Philip Morris International, where he focused on regulatory affairs and illicit trade prevention. Prior to joining Philip Morris, he was an associate attorney in the Litigation and Dispute Resolution Department of ACRA Law, or the Angara, Abelio, Concepcion, Regalia, and Cruz law offices, where he started his legal career. Before entering law school, he joined government service and was part of the Public Affairs and Information Office of the Home Development Mutual Fund, or PAG-IBIG, and the Housing and Urban Development Coordinating Council. A graduate of San Beda University College of Law, our guest ranked ninth in his batch before passing in the bar exam in 2013. He also holds a master's in business administration from the De La Salle University, where he graduated magna cum laude with a silver medal. Here is Attorney Joseph Fabul, the country manager for corporate and government affairs of Mondelez International. Good morning, Attorney Fabul.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Anne. Good morning, Commissioner.
Thank you. Our third guest has a Bachelor of Science degree in mining engineering from the St. Louis University, Baguio City, and placed 8th in the 1982 Professional Board Examination for Mining Engineers. He took his management development program at the Asian Institute of Management in 2005 and his advanced management program at Harvard Business School in 2013. Prior to his present position, he served as a company senior vice president for operations and PADCAL resident manager in 2011, vice president resident manager for PADCAL operations from 2004 to 2010, mine division manager from 1919 to 2003, engineering group manager in 1998, and Mine Engineering and Draw Control Department Manager from 1996 to 1998. He concurrently serves as PXP Energy Corporation and Silangan Mindanao Mining Corporation Incorporated. He became president and chief operating officer on January 1, 2012, and president and CEO on April 3, 2013. Here is engineer Eulalio B. Austin Jr., the president and CEO of Felix Mining Corporation. Good morning, Engineer Yules.
Good morning everybody. Good morning Commissioner. Good morning Attorney Joseph.
Okay, thank you. Our fourth guest previously headed BPI Sustainable Development Finance Program, which ensures that BPI's loans for energy efficiency, renewable energy, climate resilience, green buildings, and sustainable agriculture are compliant with global standards and supports the UN Sustainable Development Goals. BPI's sustainability programs have received local and international recognition for the high standards it has set, as well as innovations in providing technical and financial advice for clients and environmental hazard mapping. All these are part of the loan process for both large corporations and SMEs. Prior to her roles in sustainability, she had stints in BPI's corporate banking, corporate planning, and asset management trust corporation. Here is Ms. Joanne B. Ayala, the VP and head of BPI Sustainability Office, which oversees the ESG initiatives of BPI as well as its subsidiaries. Good morning, Ms. Joanne.
Good morning.
Okay. Thank you all for taking part in this morning's forum. To set the tone for our discussion today, may I call on Commissioner Kelvin Kesterly of the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Thank you, ma'am Anne. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, guests and panelists. Let me give you a quick, short overview of sustainability reporting in the Philippines from the perspective of the regulator of the SEC. I hope everyone can hear me. And I apologize if I get cut off. The internet's been a little odd here in the house. I think to the weather. In any
Yes.
case, let me just start off. There should be a PowerPoint coming up, but anyway, as a PowerPoint is coming up, let me just give you a quick
Slides
background.
there.
The reason
Yeah.
for sustainability reporting is that, well, I think as you've all seen, there has been an increased focus on companies to provide greater disclosures, and transparency, not only on financial matters, but also on non-financial and sustainability issues as well. So there's a greater focus on the part of stakeholders on how a corporation impacts the economy, the environment, and society. And there's a lot of attention on how corporations respond now to sustainability issues and other forms of non-financial reporting. In fact, sustainability reporting and environment, social, and governance disclosure are on the rise around the globe. There's been increased regulation in Asia. It's become expected in Europe. Investors in the US are increasingly using this to become to inform their decision making. I'm sorry, it's okay. I'm still at the first slide now. But in any case, there was a strong push for it by advocacy groups worldwide. I think my distinguished panelists, my fellow distinguished panelists, have felt it, and there was extensive demand for these kinds of reports to internationally by investors and stakeholders. In short, the clamor for ESG disclosures and sustainability reporting was real. No, is very real even now. So all these factors led the Corporate Governance and Finance Department of the SEC, a department I supervise, to draft the guidelines. So as early as 2017, the SEC had already been working with other government agencies like the Climate Change Commission, DNR, DSWD, NEDA, to develop climate sustainability reporting standards, which are to be used for Philippine corporations. And after extensive consultation and development periods with these agencies, with different publicly listed companies like Ayala Corp, Metro Pacific, among others, and the Global Reporting Initiative and the International Finance Corporation, there was extensive dialogue and discussions. We finally developed the current sustainability reporting guidelines for publicly listed companies, and we issued it in 2019. So, and as Ma'am Ann mentioned, this is part of application of Principle 10 of the new Code of Corporate Governance for publicly listed companies. It states that companies should ensure that material and reportable non-financial and sustainability issues are disclosed to the public. So with that, next slide, please. So let me quickly point out that studies have proven there's a positive correlation between good sustainability practices on one hand and business profit and financial returns on the others. I'm sure my fellow distinguished panelists will back me up on this. I hope you will back me up on this. Stakeholders of corporations, as I mentioned, they want to know how businesses impact these the economy, environment, society. So that's precisely why we want sustainability reports, because we want to encourage them to make these sustainability reports through our guidelines. And let me emphasize that these good business practices and reporting of those practices have positive financial implications. So it's not just good for the stakeholders, no, it's actually good for the company itself. As seen on screen, an Oxford study has showed that sound sustainability standards lower the cost of capital by 90%. Solid ESG practices result in better performance of firms by roughly 88%. And stock price performances is positively influenced by good sustainability practices by 80%. And take note, this is a 2016-2017 study. I have later studies from Harvard Business School and other business schools essentially saying roughly the same thing, that ESG helps improve financial performance of companies. But that would belabor the point, no? So anyway, next slide, please. So with that preamble out of the way, what is sustainability reporting? As defined by our guidelines, it's defined as an organization's practice of publicly reporting on its significant economic, environmental, social impacts in accordance with globally accepted standards. And that's sometimes the issue, no? What is considered a globally accepted standard? But in any case, it's supposed to enable an organization to measure and monitor the contributions of that corporation towards the achieving universal targets on sustainability. In other words, it is a way for a company to be able to report to the public what their ESG practices are or what their sustainability measures are. Next slide, please. So because of that, the SEC issued SEC Memorandum Circular Number 4, Series of 2019, which is the Sustainability Reporting Guidelines for Publicly Listed Corporations. Once again, the main goal of these guidelines is to promote sustainability reporting and make it relevant for publicly listed companies. Currently, it is applicable to publicly listed companies, which is why I am so happy to hear that one of my fellow distinguished panelists, Mondelez, Attorney Fable's company, actually does a variation of sustainability reporting, even though we don't really require it yet. So kudos to you, sir. No? In any case, some of the salient points of the SR guidelines, of these guidelines. First is the comply or explain approach. I'm sure you're familiar with that. It's supposed to give publicly listed companies ample time to determine what is considered significant, okay, and what is considered significant. And then if they are to determine their material impacts, collect data, provide explanations if they have no available data. So what is comply or explain approach in a simpler manner? In other words, rather than sending out binding laws on our part with a one-size-fits-all rule, no? Government regulators like the SEC, instead we set out a code or a principle which listed companies might either comply with, or if they cannot comply, they explain to us publicly why they cannot or do not do it. So it's more a disclosure regime, in other words. Now, second, the guidelines provide also that the sustainability reporting template, which is Annex A, shall be submitted together with the company's annual report, which is SEC Form 17A, and it's supposed to be submitted every year. This year's submission, we extended it to June 1, 2021, and I'll explain later, there has been very good compliance even this year. And the third feature is that if the publicly listed company fails to attach the sustainability report to the annual report, then it will be subjected to the penalties that we have set out before for incomplete annual reports. Next slide, please. I'd just like to show, allow me to be a little mayabang on this. Because of the sustainability reporting guidelines, we have actually gotten some awards at SEC, not just in the Philippines, but internationally. UNCTAD, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, gave us an award. On the left side, if you see, our chairman was in Switzerland receiving it for the issuance of the sustainability reporting guidelines. And then just this year, we received an award from the Cambridge International Financial Advisory, the 3G Awards, for good corporate governance because of corporate governance initiatives, including the sustainability reporting guidelines. Thank you for letting me toot our horn. Next slide. So on the major point that I think everyone wants to hear, in particular are my fellow panelists from BPI and Felix, the publicly listed companies. We have very good compliance rate among our publicly listed companies, ladies and gentlemen. For 2019 reports, which were submitted last year, we have a 90.44% compliance rate. And for the compliance rate for this year, for the 2020 reports, they were due on June 1, 2021. We have a 91.07 compliance rate. So this is a big improvement from the 2017 KPMG survey that Ma'am Ann mentioned earlier, where she made reference to there only being 22% of publicly listed companies in the Philippines publishing a report on sustainability. That was circa 2017. When we issued the report, you can see there was a massive jump. We're now at 90+% compliance rate consistently. And I'm very happy about this, just so we're aware. Next slide, please. So these are these are essentially the vision, the short-term goals of the SEC when it comes to these guidelines. We want to make it relevant. We want to help publicly listed companies identify and manage their ESG risks and opportunities. We want to help them improve their non-financial performance. We want to provide them a mechanism to allow PLCs to communicate with stakeholders, and we want them to be able to measure and monitor their contributions towards the UN SDG. And as I mentioned before, this is to be done. This short-term goals is supposed to be done during the 3-year transitory period of implementation of sustainability reporting guidelines under a comply or explain approach. Because as I'll show you later, we intend to make this mandatory moving forward. Next slide, please. And this is that part of the discussion. I'm hoping that I will not get very many complaints about this, but essentially we want to adopt a mandatory approach to sustainability reporting for publicly listed companies moving forward, 3 years after implementation. So roughly the 2023 compliance period is what we're looking at. This would align us internationally, because internationally, most different jurisdictions already make sustainability reporting mandatory. For example, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, it's mandatory already for their listed companies. And secondly, we want to introduce the same requirement to all types of corporations, meaning expand it beyond publicly listed companies on a comply or explain basis. And then later on, much later on, I foresee, is we want to adopt a mandatory approach to sustainability reporting for all types of corporations. Okay. So next slide. Just let me show you some of the things we have been doing in relation to this. We have a technical working group. We will be doing very strict monitoring, and then we will issue in future memorandum circulars to adjust our approach from comply or explain to make it mandatory, and then expanding the coverage of compliance from initially covering publicly listed corporations to covering all corporations in the future. So, and then we have had workshops on sustainability reporting. We wanted to help our publicly listed companies understand how to do this. I understand also that we intend to hold another virtual workshop on sustainability reporting guidelines in August. So if you're interested in that, please take a look at our website, monitor it for further updates very soon. And of course, we'll continue consultations with different agencies and organizations like GRI. Next slide, please. So we also intend to have a common set of the existing disclosure standards, meaning we want to solidify it like everyone else does, because worldwide that is the trend. They want to make this a consensus, a common standard. Because right now, one of the issues with sustainability reporting is there are different standards from GRI, from SASB, from the new Value Reporting Foundation, which is a merger of SASB and the IIRC. So anyway, as you see on screen, there are very many different initiatives. We want to be part of those initiatives to help solidify it and to minimize confusion and possible regulatory arbitrage. So that's about it. Next slide, please. Last slide. Allow me to quote na lang, Miss Anna Green, the former CEO of ANZ Bank. She's now with Amazon Asia Pacific. She mentioned this during her presentation at the SEC PSE conference in 2019. That was where where the SEC and myself, we launched the Memorandum Circular Number 4 Sustainability Reporting Guidelines. During that launch, she said during her speech that what is reported gets done. And I applaud her for being able to get to the meat of the matter. That is why sustainability reporting is needed, because the regulator is in effect encouraging our companies to be more sustainable by mandating reporting on such measures. Because now what is reported gets done. I want to emphasize, though, that compliance with these guidelines should not just be mere compliance or submissions on paper. It should be treated as a continuing obligation to build a sustainable business community for our future generations. So we're hoping at the SEC that more and more of our PLCs in the Philippines, if not all our PLCs, our public listed companies, will comply and report. After all, sustainability is everyone's responsibility. So with that, last slide and my presentation on this, allow me to end my discussion with SEC's motto. Last slide, it's easy at SEC. Thank you all very much, ma'am, and good morning.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Lee, for your presentation. Now let's hear from Attorney Joseph Arfabul, the Country Manager for Corporate and Government Affairs of Mondelez International.
Hi, good morning, Anne Ruth, Commissioner
Hi,
Lee,
good morning.
Engineer Yules and Miss Ayala, and to everyone who is watching on Facebook and other social media channels. Thank you for this invitation. I'm Joseph, and I'm part of the local affiliate of Mondelez International. I just want to ask if you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Mimi, just a brief background. I'll try to be quick about this to give more time to Engineer Yules and Miss Ayala. So, our products are available in over 150 countries, and we have over 80,000 employees across the globe. Locally, and for the past 58 years, we have been providing Filipino snacking needs with heritage brands that they have grown up with, such as Oreo, Tang, Cadbury, Toblerone, Eden Cheese, and Cheese Whiz. And for those of you who are not familiar with Mondelez, we used to be known as Kraft Foods before undergoing corporate rebranding in 2012. Now, I think Commissioner mentioned it earlier. This is a forum focusing on SEC compliance. And I'd like to start by saying that under local SEC regulations, our company is not required to file a sustainability report since we are not a publicly listed company in the Philippines. But globally, we have been publishing our sustainability report for more than a decade. We are tracking adoption of standards such as those published by the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, or SASB, and the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, or TCFD. Now, the purpose of Mondelez is to empower people to snack right by providing the right snack for the right moment and made the right way. And the right snack means offering a delicious and varied portfolio. The right moment means providing easy access to consumers and encouraging them to snack mindfully. And the right way means supporting a diverse community and reducing our impact on the environment. Now, this is our commitment to sustainable snacking. Our ESG platform is centered on sustainable snacking. This means the following. First, we use sustainable ingredients. Through our global Cocoa Life program, we aim to source 100% of our cocoa volume needed for our chocolate brand sustainably by 2025. Second, on environmental impact, we continue to evolve our manufacturing processes by constantly reducing the environmental impact of our operations. A 20% reduction in CO2 emissions from manufacturing, which exceeded our initial target of 15%, a 30% reduction in priority water usage, exceeding our target of 10%, and a 30% reduction in total waste from manufacturing, which exceeded the target of 20%. In fact, we are proud to source power for our Parañaque plant from 100% sustainable energy since 2019. We use a combination of geothermal, solar, and other renewable energy to make our products and power our head office. And we also have a biomass boiler, which uses biodegradable sources of fuel. We also have a rainwater treatment facility to lessen water waste, and this all contribute to the achievement of our sustainability goals. Third, on social sustainability, we've adopted 100% child labor due diligence across our Cocoa Life communities in West Africa. And locally, our Joy Schools adoption program is celebrating 10 years in the Philippines, having adopted 19 schools and directly impacted more than 5,000 students through its 9-month feeding program. Now, due to the pandemic, we've been forced to provide our beneficiaries with veggie packs, and we have these picked up at the public schools where they're supposed to be studying. And then we also provided home learning kits, laptops, and Wi-Fi devices so that they can continue studying from home. Since the COVID-19 pandemic began, we have been actively supporting various organizations and communities to provide food, especially for those who are seriously impacted by the lockdown. So we provided over 10,000 boxes or cases of our products to various charitable organizations. And finally, on packaging innovation, we've committed to make 100% of our packaging recycle ready and labeled with consumer recycling information by 2025. And globally, we're 94% compliant with this commitment. We have also pledged to reduce our global use of virgin plastic for rigid packaging by 25% and reduce virgin plastic use in overall plastic packaging by 5% in 2025. Now, this goes hand in hand with our target to use 5% recycled content across plastic packaging globally by the same period. Now, we've also launched our Sustainable Futures platform. And through this, we aim to incubate, finance, and build partnerships in the impact investment space through co-funded climate projects and the new social venture fund. We aim to partner with like-minded investors, increase our impact on the world, and support self-sustaining projects. Locally, we've started exploring this platform through our project with the Plastic Flamingo, and together we are recovering and recycling 40,000 kilos of post-consumer plastic waste and converting these into other usable items like bike racks, benches, tables, etc. We don't have all the answers, but what we do know is that alone, we can never achieve significant progress in the fight against systemic issues like climate change. And Sustainable Futures is our first foray into impact investing and gives us the opportunity to work with others in supporting environment and social projects that can help drive meaningful and long-term change. At Mondelez International, we are committed to do business the right way. We have clear plans for our environmental, social, and governance programs by creating a future with both people and planet. We call this sustainable snacking. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you, Attorney Fabol. Just a few shout-outs here to Jeffrey Salazar of Cabuyao City, Laguna. Hello. JP Estrella of Makati. Net Westcan of Manila. Francis Dingby from Felix Mining Corporation. And Chris Jerome Sanji of Makati City. Now, let's call on Engineer Eulalio B. Austin Jr., the President and CEO of Felix Mining Corporation, for his take on sustainability reporting. Engineer Yields, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Anne. Good morning, Commissioner Lee. Good morning, Attorney Joseph. And good morning, Joanne. And to all our audience out there. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for this opportunity for a publicly listed company, mining company at that, to share on its sustainability initiatives. For others, it will raise an eyebrow because how could a mining business do sustainability when it is perceived as destroyer of the environment? I hope with this sharing, we can prove that there really exists right in principled mining with sustainability at the forefront. Next slide. Felix Mining Corporation started sustainability reporting in 2015 with our 2014 sustainability report, long before it was being required. And we have been doing it every year for 7 years now. Next slide, please. We do it as a reflection of our commitment to be accountable to our stakeholders with respect to our performance in future direction. And encouragingly, our sustainability reports reap awards every year from Anvil or Quill. Next. The preparation of our sustainability report has its challenges. The initial challenge is the gathering and consolidating of data. Sustainability reporting was an emerging trend then, and only few companies were doing it. Next. At first, we had difficulties in navigating the process. We consulted a preparer that would guide us through the reporting activity. Further, we conducted several internal workshops and other learning sessions for our data owners who are representatives from various operating departments to familiarize them with sustainability reporting and global reporting initiative standards. Through time, we developed templates that would simplify our data gathering process. Next slide, please. The time of pandemic has been challenging. It was also a good learning process since we were able to have a glimpse of the company's response to unusual situations in the needed preparations, not only for our employees in the mine camp community, but also in assisting our host local government units in neighboring communities. Next slide, please. We followed the Global Reporting Initiative's concept of materiality in identifying the topics or indicators that reflects our organization's significant economic, environmental, and social impacts that substantively influence the assessment and decision of our stakeholders. Next slide, please. We started the process of identifying the most material topics to our business operations and to our stakeholders in 2015. We continue to assess these topics every year, along with tracking our performance. Next slide, please. To determine the risk, opportunities, and other factors that materially impact our ability to create long-term sustainable value, we undergo the materiality process of, first, identification or risk assessments. Second, analysis or evaluation of material matters based on their significance and potential effects to business and to our key stakeholders. Third, prioritization. Material topics are incorporated in our corporate strategies, governance framework, risk management systems, and operational management processes. Fourth, reporting. Informing our stakeholders through the annual publication of our sustainability report. And fifth, engagement. Continuous engagement with our internal and external stakeholders. Next. Basically, we chose the goals that leads to social development and environmental conservation, taking into account that we are in the mining business, and I think the most heavily regulated industry. We see the sustainability report as a learning and guiding tool that will tell us how to continuously improve our practices and performance. We want to enhance our approaches and practices in our operations and corporate governance for the benefit of our stakeholders, meaning economic improvement, social development, and mitigating adverse environmental impacts. We support and show our contributions to the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals, or SDGs. Next. Our long-term goal, when it comes to sustainability, first and foremost, is to help develop our host and neighboring communities to become self-reliant even after our mine life. We do this through our social development programs that pillar in the areas of health, education, livelihood, public infrastructure, and socio-cultural awareness. We also implement best practices in mining and sound environmental management in our day-to-day activities at the mine camp and operations level and in our corporate strategic planning. We are committed to comply and possibly go beyond with all applicable laws and regulations, and even adopting best practices in international standards that will highlight us as a right and principled miner. We adhere to ISO standards on environmental management, or ISO 14001, corporate social responsibility, or ISO 2600, occupational health and safety, or ISO 45001, and the Towards Sustainable Mining Principles, or TSM of the Mining Association of Canada. Next. With the environment as one of our primary concern, one of the first in continuing sustainable projects we are doing is our aggressive reforestation program within and beyond our mine areas. As of 2020, we have reforested 4,479 hectares with more than 12 million trees. Next. 2 of our decommissioned mines, located in Sipalay, Negros Occidental, in Sibutad, Zamboanga del Norte, are now heavily reforested and are being used by the LGUs in communities as tourist and recreational areas. They have in fact been praised by no less than President Duterte and DNR Secretary Roy Simato. Next. We have also recently embarked on a biodiversity conservation program. The biodiversity assessment study was done in 2019, and the program is being coordinated with DNR in the communities. Our social aspect is more on the implementation of our social development and management program as provided for in the Mining Law of 1995. This basically returns to the communities the benefits produced by the local resources to help develop the future generations. We had always believed that two keys for development is a stable livelihood and good education. Many of our current managers took their elementary and secondary education in the school provided by the company inside our mine camp. For us coming from the rural areas, education is the greatest equalizer. The social development program is a continuing learning process. We conducted a social and economic impact assessment in 2018 to assess the effectiveness and lasting impact of our programs in the development of our host and neighboring communities. We believe that the key to our community's development is the active and meaningful participation of our stakeholders. Next slide, please. As part of our unwavering commitment to right and principled mining, we at Philex continue to enhance our sustainability approach and practices, not only to create meaningful and lasting economic impact, but also to minimize the adverse effects of our operations on the environment and on our host and neighboring communities. Philex Mining will keep improving on how we do things and undertake trailblazing initiatives related to the promotion of right and principled mining with sustainability in mind. The pursuit for excellence is a continuous journey, so we keep on moving and raising the bar. Diyos te agina, Apo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Yules. I'd like to say hello to our bosses, Mr. Benjamin Ramos and Ms. Chuchay Fernandez. Thank you for tuning in. And to thank you to our partners, Mondelez International, Felix Mining Corporation, BPI, Clean Fuel, Gardenia, and Global Ferronicle Holdings Incorporated. Last but not the least, here is Ms. Joanne B. Ayala, the VP and Head of BPI Sustainability Office.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Okay, you can see my screen now. So thank you very much for inviting me over. So thank you, Business World. This is indeed very inspiring for me in particular because we've been doing sustainability for quite some time now in BPI, and hearing a mining company and an unlisted company or a company that's not forced to report, no, and hearing all of their initiatives is quite inspiring for me. So let me start with this. No, in the middle of the devastation left by World War II, Winston Churchill gave this quote, and it's very, very apt in today's situation. He said, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." And that is very appropriate today because the devastation we're experiencing, while not in physical structures, is very similar to practically having a world war. So allow me to share with you the experiences of BPI in sustainability and our learnings. Let's start with this unique formula that is no secret recipe anyway. So we go beyond ESG. We have a second E. And this is not unique. No, it's just that a lot of rating agencies now, the questions we receive related to sustainability all focus on ESG, and the second E has been missing. So E, as we know, is a question on our impact on the environment, our greenhouse gas emission, how much electricity, water, or resources we use, and whether we pollute air and water. And also a question on how resilient we are, or aware in the first place we are, of environmental risks. The second letter is S, social or impact on the people in the community where we operate. The working conditions we provide, health and safety, peace and order, human rights, gender equality, and even drive against corruption. G is something, of course, close to the heart of Commissioner Lee. Hi, Commissioner Lee. This is our level of business transparency and compliance, the alignment of our shareholders' interests, our board independence and composition, and how we uphold the rights of both our small and large shareholders, and how we manage our risks. So what is missing? Well, this is not unique, but because ESG is usually the focus, the second E is usually forgotten. And this is the economic impact of the things that we do. we ask ourselves as we engage in these ESG initiatives, do our businesses flourish? Do we boost our bottom line and the bottom line of our clients? How about our employees? Are we sustaining uninterrupted business success and profitability? Are our operations more efficient? Are they stable and protected from all these risks? And are we contributing to the local and national economic growth? So that is the second E, which we hope could always be put together with ESG, because this is only when we can have economic gains, can we ensure sustainability on the ESG fronts. So why need sustainability? Um, I don't want to scare you, but we all know this. We just had an earthquake a couple of days ago. So there are 100 to 150 earthquakes felt in the Philippines per year. You know what the truth is? We have an average of 20 a day. It's just that it's happening over 100 kilometers underneath, so we don't feel that the 20 that happen every day. The Philippines is also located in the typhoon belt, other than being along the Pacific Ring of Fire. So we have 20 to 25 typhoons. We are expecting 3.4 millimeters of increase in sea level, or around 4 inches by 2050. So quite concerning. But look at these photos. No, whenever I show this to events outside the country, they get shocked. These things are like the end of the world, no, if they see it happening in their countries. In the Philippines, it's like, oh, it happened again, right? It's something that's already a given, no, to the Philippines. Fortunately, we have a system called Hunter, which we have been espousing, no, for people to use. It's free, it's available online, even with your smartphones. And we say, come on, check how exposed you are to these earthquakes, no, typhoon and flooding, and even volcanic risks. Now, these risks also open opportunities. Like business plans now are designed to be more resilient. Technological innovations are used to make businesses more efficient and to protect the projects and to protect the people. So both physical and human assets. And alternately, should the structure already be in place, we also have insurance to run to. Now let's talk about social risks and opportunities. No, admittedly, I'm very strong on the environment side, and this is one area that I'm really trying to strengthen my skills on. And this is the best time to do it because we are in the middle of a big health crisis with over 1.54 million infected and already over 27,000 deaths resulting from the virus. And we have less than 10% vaccinated so far, and the new variants are coming in. But again, there are opportunities. This pandemic jump-started the country's digital transformation, well, actually globally. It has forced us to be more efficient with our resources. We are now looking at how to further reduce electricity, water, or even the use of paper. In fact, gas, I put an asterisk here because practically all of the meetings now, even events like this, like what we are doing today, are done online. So imagine the reduction in carbon footprint that is resulting from all of these new ways of doing things, even working from home, which is brought about by the pandemic. In terms of governance risks and opportunities, so we have sustainability-driven regulations, framework, and reportory requirements. And I must commend the SEC. They were the first regulator to actually come up with a sustainability reporting requirement as early as 2019. BSP came up with its own 1085 in 2020, and the PSE is now also requiring ESG reporting for listed companies. So what opportunities are there? Products and services now need to meet ESG requirements. We are very conscious of the requirements of the regulators. Well, you will see later that even before these requirements came about anyway, BPI has long been very conscious of ESG requirements. And we also make sure that we are compliant to global practices. The next slide shows the last one, the second E, which tells us that first, the complex business environment has become even more volatile because of the pandemic. So there are unprecedented shocks that are making future forecasting harder. So it's harder to predict now what will happen to the economy and to the respective businesses that we are running. So the health crisis has led to large-scale and extensive economic impacts with very long-term effects. Now, again, there are opportunities because we are now more conscious of the fact that we cannot sacrifice long-term our long-term prospects just to achieve our short-term targets. And only those who can secure sustainable and resilient businesses, given this new landscape with new opportunities, can survive. Sustained and stable business profitability is possible, but we also have to take into account resilience and risk management measures, especially because we are operating in the Philippines. So as required, I'm showing you our reporting journey. Commissioner Lee, you'd be happy to note this. As early as 2008, we have been doing GRI reporting already. So Global Reporting Initiative. And you see, as early as that time, we already partnered with the International Finance Corporation to ensure that initiatives under the sustainability program of BPI are compliant with global standards. By 2010, we started a study on 16 cities that we are concerned about to measure their vulnerability to climate change impacts. By 2012, so we were partners with IFC in 2008. By 2012, USAID came along and was also looking for a bank to partner with. Well, again, BPI was chosen to be their first partner. And we started these guarantee programs for SME in the countryside. By 2014, our sustainability strategy framework was made public, creating the shared value, and another sustainability report came about. And we have started being externally assured, and this by TUV Rainland. By 2014, that 16-city study on the vulnerabilities of select cities came out, and we found it too disturbing such that we couldn't keep it to ourselves. We had to, well, admittedly, it was supposedly for selfish reasons. We wanted to know our exposures. The findings were just so scary. We had to continuously do roadshows. So from 2020 to 2014, spending even more, just telling the cities, both public and private, that they're quite vulnerable to various aspects of natural hazards. By 2017, 2018, we already had our integrated report, Commissioner Lee. So maaga pa, we've been doing it already. And also in 2018, we gave a report on how much we are contributing to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. By 2019, we already had a blueprint for the whole Ayala Group. You see, sustainability is not unique to BPI. There is, in fact, an Ayala Sustainability Council where all of these experts in sustainability would talk. And I feel like a little girl whenever I'm there because they're real experts on sustainability. So we even had Sustainalytics, one of the multi-awarded second-party opinion providers, check on our green bond framework. So because BPI came up with its own green bond that is publicly issued. By 2020, just last year, we already converted the green bond framework into a sustainable funding framework. We had, this is the first among banks, we had what we call an environmental risk assessment of bank assets and client assets. Because as I was telling you earlier, we are in the Pacific Ring of Fire, we are in the typhoon belt, so we needed to map assets, not only of the bank, but of the clients. Exposure to is what we are looking for. Exposure to natural hazards, from earthquakes to climate-related risks like typhoon and flooding, and then also volcanic eruption. Now, also in 2020, we started reporting based on SASB standards, or the Stability Accounting Standards Board. And just to tell you, this is the most recent one. No, other than espousing across the whole bank our sustainability agenda and making it a mandatory course, so for all employees of BPI to attend this course on sustainability that we have put together. We are also the first bank to already sign up with TCFD. Well, as you see, TCFD is not yet very common in the Philippines. There are only 12 companies who have signed up, who have given their formal support, and BPI is the first bank to do so. So that's our sustainability journey and our reporting history, for as required. So we have shared that with you now. So what are the major sustainability initiatives of BPI? I have to give credit to all these partners. I've learned a lot from these people, and this is the reason why we could do what we do today. Now, also, of course, we are guided by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and today we have 47% of our loan portfolio contributing to the UN SDGs. But you see, the question of what is the formula? How do you ensure that an organization, a large bank like BPI, could do this? Because it's not easy, that you engage the whole organization towards doing sustainable initiatives. I must give credit to our chairman. Si Jaime Augusto Sabel de Ayala has been espousing People Planet Before Profit as early as the 1980s, after he graduated from Harvard. So when you have the very guy on top, orchestrating, telling you his principles, and his support for sustainability, I mean, how can you say no? So it's admittedly easy for my end, for my job, as a sustainability head in BPI, to proceed, because I have no less than the top people of the organization supporting me. So as you can see here, that is 47% of our portfolio supporting the UN SDGs. And this one we made public. Not easy to do so, but our president, outgoing president then, because our president today is TJ Lemcauco, but in April, during our annual shareholders meeting, our outgoing president, Cesar or Bong Consing, made this public, and he said that this is BPI's coal commitment, that we will have by 2026 our exposure, or our coal portfolio, and after having it, we will be zeroed. Actually, what he said was zero by 2037. When we did the numbers, we can actually be zero, or actually out of coal completely 5 years earlier, or by 2032. Now, this is one thing I wanted to share, and that's why I have a separate slide for these, for this particular advocacy. As I said earlier, we have mapped 16 cities in 2011 to 2014. And I tell you, one of those cities was Tacloban. And we said, you are called Tacloban because that means to be enveloped. And you're in a peninsula, and you can be enveloped by water. That workshop was September 2013. You know what the decision was? Okay, so this is the private and the public sector. We will come up with a 5-year plan. September 2013. November 2013, Yolanda struck. So this is close to my heart. This is something that I do with so much passion, and I tell you today, thank you to the initiatives of FIVOLS, PAG-ASA, DNR, DOST. There is a system that is free, available online. Use your phones, bring it up, type Hazard Hunter. Just Google Hazard Hunter, the system will come up. Hover it in the respective address of your homes or your offices, and just please check your vulnerability to earthquakes, to typhoons, and to flooding. Please do that. We have mapped today in BPI 1647 cities and municipalities, practically the whole country. We have done the same for our clients. But those of you who are the clients of BPI, you can easily do this. Just go to your phone. And I'm sure you, Rene Soldum, will just be so happy, that their FIVOLS baby, which is Hazard Hunter, is being made public, and that is being utilized by the public to assess their environmental risks. This is what we call ERA, or Environmental Risk Initiative in BPI. So you'll hear this from me and you'd see me write about them. No? Environmental risk assessment. Very important that you do today. So, well, just to show you a couple of our awards, even up to a couple of days ago, we have received awards in sustainability. So what's our sustainability agenda? And this is my last two slides. So what is BPI's vision? First, this is what we look at. We want to be and continue to be, because we have been working on this. We want to be an inclusive, innovative, and trusted leader in responsible banking. And this vision is supported by the sustainability strategy, which rests on two pillars. One is responsible banking, and the other responsible operations. When we talk of responsible banking, that's supporting nation building, because we know we are the oldest bank in the country and one of the biggest. We want to support in sustainable development finance. We want to make sure that we finance both large and small companies towards sustainability. And there you can see financial inclusion. That will never leave our sustainability strategy. In terms of operations, we ensure environmental sustainability and social responsibility. And these two pillars rest on an environmental and social risk management system. So, in the end, what's our main takeaway? One, incorporate environmental, social, governance, and economic goals and standards into the core business strategy. So, what's that formula? That's ESG, but don't forget the second E, which is economic benefits. So that's our new tagline, Sustainable Together. I am from the BPI Sustainability Office, and just email us if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Joanne. Business Mirror is very happy to have you here this morning and with all the other speakers as well. Before we proceed, I'd just like to make a number of shout outs. Hello to Ivy Johnson, Paquito Tobias, Maynard Moises, Bim Mauricio, Heidi Dimawala, Marky Almazora, Miss Bam Azarcon, Vanchi Cerezo, Rachel Gumtang Remalante. Shout out also to Mag Santos, Ana Casabueno, Catherine Blanco, Bong Hernandez, Rodel Suarez, April Sarabia, and Aldwin Tolosa. Okay, I see one question here in the comments. I hope you can, I'll show it to you. This is from Edwin Salyan. Hope you can answer this, all of you speakers. Many industries actually thrived during the pandemic. But what about those who struggled? Do any of the speakers see them recovering anytime soon? Commissioner Lee, do you can you answer this?
Um,
And
my worry, Ma'am Anne, is that the question is too broad. I
yeah,
would initially say that it would depend on the industry, but if it makes you feel better, naman, no, I just wanted to point out that on a related topic is that don't forget that the SEC is currently the group that we're the organization that incorporates, no. And
mhm,
when we started out with the lockdown last year, our incorporation rate went substantially down. Currently, however, the number of corporations that are incorporating are close to old standards or exceed the number, mga 2,000 plus to 3,000 plus na naman, no, per incorporations per month. So that implies to me that there is strong demand for business pa rin here. So I cannot quite say yet as to current businesses because the data isn't here with me. But based on the data I'm seeing in terms of incorporation, we're pretty close to back to normal when it comes to incorporation. There's a lot of demand for business. There's a lot of interest in our economy. So at least you can take heart in that. Nanang. Allow me to just share that. Thank you.
okay. Thank you, Commissioner. How about in the banking sector, Ms. Joanne? Do you see any problems here?
There are certain sectors that will even thrive, but there are sectors which will be scarred. And maybe well, they're pretty obvious anyway. For instance, tourism. So we're talking of resorts, no hotels. It will take a while, and restaurants. No, it will take a while, and it all depends on how this pandemic pans out. You see, we were looking at a possible recovery, but here comes Delta, no, the Delta
Yeah.
variant, which makes us slump again. So
Mhm.
it is difficult to promise that the turnaround will happen and will happen soon, because there are areas that will be more challenged than others, and it may take a while. I would tell my friends, you see, I used to do stock market investing and economic analysis. And you know what I said? I'm over 50 years old, and I tell you, this is the biggest monster I've ever seen. Because I've seen the Aquino assassination, I've seen the coup d'etats, I've seen so much, so many disasters happening in the Philippines, but I haven't seen a monster this big. So, given that, my question is, how soon will we recover? Oh, much longer than what we think. I think. And I said this as soon as the pandemic started. I said, wait, this is not just in the Philippines. This is not just in Asia, like the Asian crisis. This is global. And this is hitting, while not the physical structures, it's hitting us as human beings. It's hitting health. So the devastation is happening on people, the very basic resource of the whole economy. So let's hold on tight. No, it's not going to happen anytime soon, and other sectors will be hit harder than the others.
Thank you, Ms. John. How about Mondelez, the food sector attorney Joseph? How did you? I think you did quite well during the pandemic because there was a lot of demand for
Well,
food.
and it's a mixed basket.
Uh,
It's actually quite difficult to answer. But what I can say is that we've been in the Philippines for 58 years, and we have many trusted brands like Tang, Eden, Oreo, Cadbury, Toblerone. So these are old trusted brands that people gravitate towards during difficult times. I mean, when times are tough, 'di ba, ang hinahanap natin konting comfort, and
mhm,
our snacks provide that comfort for the people during these difficult times. So
mhm.
that's what we've observed. But
Okay.
there are also challenges because people have a harder time going to the savvy stores, the grocery stores, in terms of logistics and lockdown that affects shipments,
Mhm.
manufacturing. So there are still many challenges, but it's also good to see that our products provide some semblance of comfort, relief, and connectedness during this difficult time.
Thank you, Attorney Joseph. How about Engineer Yules? I know the mining industry was badly affected during the
Ah,
pandemic. How are you doing now, sir?
I think, Anne, you have the wrong perception. because
Please
because
correct me, sir. Please
yeah,
correct
because
me.
the Department of Trade and Industry came out with a ruling that export-oriented companies are allowed
Hmm.
full operations. In the
Okay.
mining industry, took advantage of that, and we were on continuous operations during this pandemic. And actually, it was we're lucky because when this pandemic hit us, prices of copper and gold went up, and we
Mm-hmm.
took that opportunity of earning more during this pandemic. And
Okay.
that question of that period of recovery for those not affected by this pandemic is very difficult to answer. But for us who made money during the pandemic, the government came up with an order
Uh-huh.
saying that we could realign some of
Yeah.
our social development management programs to
Yes,
help
yes.
our host in outlying communities fight this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And we are happy to say that the host communities that we operate, we we realigned the amounts to fund for their COVID response. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's high time for these companies, for all of us companies making money during this pandemic, to share also their profits during this time that some businesses are not making money. And to us, we hope that this pandemic could end soon, because for all you know, Baguio City is being supported by the mining communities, and you could look at how Baguio City right now, when the lockdown happened. For sure, we have border controls, and we will not allow our people to go to the city, and it means lower income for the city of Baguio. And to us, we just, as John said, we have just to hold tight, because We don't know how this pandemic will last. And again, I'm as I've said, we are lucky in the mining industry because we are allowed to operate, and we were able to support our suppliers, our stakeholders, and we have complied to our contractual obligations, and we have not felt so much the effect of this pandemic.
Okay. Thank you so much for correcting me, Engineer Jules.
Ma'am, if it's okay with you, can I just quick, hirit lang, no, if
Go
you don't
ahead.
mind.
Go ahead, sir.
Because the tone was getting a little, hindi naman sad, but a little painful. No, it's a discussion that, that times are hard and everything. We know times are hard. We feel it naman. But I just wanted to let you know of some data that currently our economy, as I mentioned, there are many incorporations now every month, and our
Yeah.
economy seems to, at least the capital market side, though, if you look at the market, there has never been this much interest and this much free flowing funds, IPOs coming in than before. This is one of our major. This year is a banner year. Last year was a banner year na nga, no? Because we had some big IPOs converge among those and REITs. Now we have several coming REITs na naman, and we also had some big IPOs coming in. So and we have been always issuing bonds consistently, approving bonds. So I guess what I'm trying to say, capital market wise, which is a barometer naman talaga of the economy, we're actually not naman thriving, but we're actually doing fairly well. No, our numbers stay good. We've approved billions of pesos worth of capital market issuances. So uh, take hope, take pride na lang din in that. No, at least that we're still doing relatively well. I know times are hard. Like si Ma'am Ann was, as si Ma'am Joanne was saying, no, stay strong. But there is light in ahead. No, there is a lot of light from where I'm sitting at least. No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Commissioner Leah. At least there's something to look forward to. I have one question here. Ma'am Joanne, can you talk about the system you're referring to where you can determine any earthquake or flooding risk? You mentioned it in the last slide. Can you
Yes.
expound on that, please? And how do you do it?
Okay, so that system is actually called Hazard Hunter.
Okay.
Hazard Hunter is a free online system. So you just, even using your smartphone, just type Hazard Hunter and look for that system provided for free by FIVOS, DNR, Pag-asa. It will tell you what you type in your address, or if you cannot find your address, just hover, like in Google Maps, hover you pin drop that system in onto your address, and it will tell you. You just enter it, and then it will tell you how exposed you are to earthquake risks. Specifically, how far are you, for instance, from a fault line? Because a couple of days ago, we saw a property 2 meters away from a fault line. So what do you do?
Mhm.
It will also tell you flooding risks. How high will the flooding be and for how many days? See, that's very important for you to know. And then also volcanic eruption exposure. So these environmental risks, by the way, I call them environmental because climate risk does not include earthquakes. Just so that everybody becomes really accurate when you talk about these things. The climate risk is more related to the typhoons, um, flooding, etc. But when you talk of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, these are environmental. Hindi kasalanan ng climate yon. No? That's really
Okay.
because of where we are. We're in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Now,
Mhm.
we are just so vulnerable because after we mapped 1647 cities, we realized practically the whole Philippines is exposed to earthquakes, liquefaction, ground shaking, practically the whole country. So, what do you do? Go to your phone, look for Hazard Hunter, find your address, the address of your residence or your place of work, and try to see. Oh, thank you for flashing that. And try to see how vulnerable you are, so you are ready. Because the first step to risk management, no, is awareness. You have to know your risks before you can act on it. But make sure you don't just look at it and say, intensity earthquake pala yung exposure ko. What do you do next? You get ready. Or if you can move away from it. If you're about to construct a building, then do not construct right on top of a fault line, because a fault line can just open up, no, the ground can just open up. So these things, sorry, but we are in the Philippines and we cannot run away from it. This is one campaign that I'm seriously emphasizing this year, 2021. We've been doing sustainability for a long time, but this particular risk management campaign, I am really focusing on, because this will save lives. No? Awareness of your environmental risk. So simple and free. Go to Hazard Hunter.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Joanne. Attorney Joseph, can you tell us more about your sustainable packaging program there at Mondelez? How are you going to achieve it? And what sort of materials will you be using for the food that we'll be eating?
Yes, thanks for that question, and it's part of our ESG commitment actually. There are many challenges concerning plastic packaging, and for our products, we use a lot of plastic packaging, whether it's rigid or flexible. And we've made a commitment to make 100% of our packaging recycle ready by 2025, and we're 94% compliant with this commitment. But it's a very difficult target to hit. But we're on our way there. Why is that so? Because we're using food, and food packaging is more sensitive than any other type of packaging being used. Why is this? Because the plastic is a very efficient and flexible material that ensures the integrity and the freshness of our food. It also increases the shelf life. If we use other types of plastic, then it's possible that we won't be able to deliver the same kind of quality and freshness of our products. And we've been developing ways to use different types of plastics in order to make it recycle ready, and also to reduce its weight, to reduce the amount of plastic that's being used for each product. And then, we just want to make sure that all our packaging is recycle ready, so that when the proper infrastructure for recycling multi-layered plastics is available, then we'll be ready to recycle all of our material by then. So it's actually it's a challenge right now, because there are many advocates who are pushing for a plastics ban, a single-use plastics ban, and unreasonable EPR schemes, or extended producers responsibility schemes. So we need to do our part in ensuring that the negative environmental impact that our company makes is mitigated through better packaging material and investing in recycling infrastructure.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Joseph. Engineer Yules, can you tell us more about the projects that you undertook last year, your sustainability
Uh,
projects?
Actually, there are two projects and that we are doing right now. First is the biodiversity conservation program, because the mining industry is always being attacked on destroying the environment in
Yes.
the habitats, in the floras and faunas. That's why we're trying to do a biodiversity conservation program in our mine site, so that when we don't have the benchmarks, we could establish a benchmark, because the mine is already more than 60 years old, and we could not have some benchmarks on biodiversity. That's why we are trying to do a study on biodiversity, and based on that, we'll work our program way forward. The next project that we are doing is trying to adapt the towards sustainable mining of Canada. Because if you remember, when President Duterte started his office, he mentioned that he could only allow mining in the country if we follow Australian and Canadian standards. And the Towards Sustainable Mining Principles of the Mining Association of Canada is a very good indicator on how you are being rated as a responsible miner, because it deals about environment, deals about dealing with the people, deals about the participation of the host or IPs in the project. And we hope that these two projects that we are doing, the biodiversity conservation program and the Towards Sustainable Mining program, while it is not a guarantee to silence the voices of these anti-mining people, quote and unquote, uh, we might could just lessen their voices. Thank you.
Okay, Thank you, Engineer Yules. Commissioner Lee, can you tell us more about your timetable with regards to the submission of sustainability reports? I understand you already started with the publicly listed companies and then you'll be moving on to the other companies. What is your time frame for that?
To be very honest, ma'am, and I hesitate to force the issue with non-publicly listed companies. We are assessing. No? We are assessing. Rest assured, we are moving in that direction. We are studying it. We are also discussing internally what if we start instead of my original proposal na we make it comply or explain for all companies agad in 2023 because that's when the 3-year period ends. We're studying perhaps applying it first to some of the larger corporations such as public corporate companies because there's a definition by law what are considered public companies. Perhaps we could require it for our registered issuers, for instance, yung mga stock brokers, things like that. So other companies that are larger, in theory, would be more capable of handling this because I when I bring this up in forums, I am always hit with comments like that this might be difficult for smaller companies. I try to explain that this is something that needs to be done and needs to let people be more aware. But of course, I understand where they're coming from because of the possible financial costs, because of the possible difficulties. And this is a complex topic. So it isn't something that we can just roll out very quickly.
Yeah.
Um, but on the publicly listed company side, I am looking at very strongly that we will make it mandatory in 2023. So heads up to my friends on the panel. But let's see. I understand that we will have a separate set of discussions on that with the stakeholders. But that is the mindset currently of my own mindset and the rest of the commissioners. I believe. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Lee. I just have a few questions here from VG Kabuag, our reporter from Business Mirror who covers SEC. So, what's the SEC stand on the creation of an ESG index at the PSE? Do you think this will have an effect on other sub indices in terms of cannibalization on investments?
We currently don't have an official stand, but I understand that we are already discussing it. One of our departments is that regulates directly the PSC is talking to them, and personally, I don't see any reason not to allow it. No, we are always very open to new initiatives, things like that, and the PSC has always been a close partner of the SEC. Even though there are regulatee, we still work together very well. So I don't foresee an issue machado when it comes to that particular index. I would think not unless there are touchy provisions that don't follow some of our mandates, no. But I don't foresee them going there, naman. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Another question, Commissioner. How will the SEC verify if the sustainability reports submitted are really happening and not just on paper? Thank you.
We currently have an assessment period, which is precisely why we are undergoing studies with our partner institutions. For instance, we are working with PICPA to study and assess these different studies. No, the reports pala. It will come out with a study later this year. We're hoping that we can come out with that this year and then inform the general public and ourselves as well the direction and the things that these companies have done. Whether or not they actually do it, well, we can invoke our visitorial powers, per siguro not quite yet, in considering that because of the difficult times like COVID nga, no? But rest assured, we are looking at it, we are reviewing these reports, and we are assessing it naman. With partner institutions. So I would think that's enough way currently to figure out and to determine whether or not they are complying. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if we can answer this question. Are we seeing insurance
excuse me.
premiums? Yes, sir. Go ahead,
Could I add
engineer.
to that? Could I answer to that question on the reliability of the reports? The mining
Go ahead,
companies
sir.
are under the PHEITI, the Philippine Extractive Transparency Initiative. We are a member of that. That's a project of the Department of Finance. And every year, these EITI groups would open our books and review the numbers. That's why the numbers that we are reporting in our annual reports are validated by the PHEITI, Extractive initiative. That's an extractive initiative. The former Secretary of DNR, Gina Lopez, came up with an order that all mining companies should be a member of that Philippine Extractive Transparency Initiative to monitor the numbers of these mining companies. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Engineer. Yes, I know they're very strict with the mining companies when it comes to sustainability reporting. Okay, thank you. There's one question here. I don't know if we can answer it. Here it is. Are we seeing insurance premiums going up due to the vulnerability of the country as to compared to other countries who offer the same type of insurances? Would any like, I don't know, Miss Joanne, if you can answer that?
Um, Actually, yes. The even before the pandemic, because earthquakes have been happening for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
For weather, it has worsened. Milenio was among the first ones to open our eyes to the fact that we are really badly positioned in the typhoon belt. So ever since then, no, insurance premiums have been rising. So that is a given. That is known in the insurance industry. So yeah, sadly, in fact, I was thinking, the Philippine insurance industry would really need external help to cover everything that we need to insure. So the insurance has to be in place because our exposure is just really on the high side, and I don't think everybody has really mapped yet their exposures not to hazards. Um, the insurance companies know more actually, so the premiums have risen ahead. Well, this is what they do. So they know more. They know more than we do, and that is why they are an advanced indicator, no, of the risks that we are facing.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Joanne. Here's another
Could I add to
question.
that also,
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Excuse me,
Yes.
that insurance premium, yeah, because we are in the mining business, and
Yes, sir.
this is actual experience. Okay,
Okay,
we
sir.
are getting annual insurances for our business interruption and pollution cover, and the
Okay po.
premiums through the years had been rising because of these mining quote unquote incidences, and because of the rise on these premiums, there are no local insurers right now. That's why we have to go foreign to Lloyd's at London to get insurance covers for our business interruption and pollution covers. And really, the market is the famous statement of these insurers are the market is hardening.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I have one question here. Perhaps you can all answer this. Isn't doing sustainability initiatives at this time of the pandemic off timing given bigger problems of the businesses? Let's start with Engineer Yules.
I think sustainability, whether pandemic or not, is very crucial to us in the mining business. Because in the mining industry, what is very important is your environmental license and social license to operate. And if you not adhere to ESG, there's nothing that you could do, continue operations in the mining industry. That's why to us, even pandemic or non-pandemic, ESG is very important to the mining industry. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. How about you, Attorney Joseph? What are your views on this?
Well, and our purpose alongside our sustainable growth strategy is tied intrinsically to our ESG strategy. So, with our global size and scale, we have the ability and responsibility to deliver on our commitments, look ahead to the future, and enhance our transparency in our progress. So, it's not something that you can actually delineate because
Mm-hmm.
our business strategy and our ESG strategy are perfectly aligned with each other.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Joseph. Miss Joanne?
Yes. Well, sustainability is also in the DNA of BPI, no, alongside the other Ayala subsidiaries. So the way we operate, the way we conduct our business, the way we finance our clients, no, they're all taking into account not only our environmental impact and the impact on the environment on us, but also our social impact. And together with that, as I said earlier, everything rests on risk management and corporate governance structure. So everything that we do, actually, I think this is a mindset that all of us, especially those operating in the Philippines, should seriously take into account. That we have to look at ESG, we have to look at our resilience, while at the same time ensuring that our businesses are operating successfully in an uninterrupted way, because we have taken all of these aspects into account. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Joanne. Commissioner Lee.
Well, if anything, I would think this highlights the need for sustainability measures and focus on sustainability rather than us having to move away from it because of this. No? In fact, if I recall, I was presented with papers and documentation recently showing that doing studies saying that there was more interest and focus on sustainability measures and initiatives now during COVID. Investments in sustainable bonds that increased during this because the investors are seeing that this is important. This is something we need to do. This is something that we should focus on rather than just sweeping it aside and saying it's a nice to have. To use the terminology, it's actually a must have now. So
Okay.
so I don't think so. I don't think this is something we should push. I don't think this is something we should siguro wait for a little bit. It's here. It's now. Let's focus on it. Let's work on it, especially now that there's a highlight on it.
Okay. Okay, I think we already lost Commissioner Lee there. Hello, Commissioner Lee. We're actually, I think we lost him anyway. Okay, just while we're waiting for Commissioner Lee to come back, I'll just give you a few shout outs to Mafati Blood from Iligan City, Cristabel Benafuerte, Maybelline Cervinas Aguring, Edwin Salian, John Enriquez, Sarina Blanca Flor, Kay Artienda, Lorraine Galang, Nigel Figueroa, and Job Rusgal. And thank you to our media partners, Home Radio 97.9, Feels Good to Be Home, DWIZ 882, CNN Philippines, Philippines Graphic, and Cook Magazine. Okay, I think we're nearing the end of our forum, and I'd like to ask you na lang po for your closing remarks. So now, let's start naman with Miss Joanne for your closing statement.
Okay, well, first, I'm very glad that we have a forum like this, which is open to the public. It's really the best time to talk about sustainability. It's not off timing. This is when people are most conscious about sustainability. Business decision makers are now incorporating sustainability in their core strategy, in the way they do things. And I think consciousness of our impact to both the society and the environment has moved, from being a secondary priority to right there, front and center. So let's do this. Let's do this together, and the timing is perfect, and people have time to also ponder and really analyze and realize, that this is not just a nice have. This is a must have. So, but we need to work together here. We need to work together with the people in the environment, in the society where we operate, and also work with our regulators, who fortunately are on the right track as well. So everything is falling into its right place, and there's a reason for that. And let's make sure that we answer the call of the times properly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Joanne. Can I have your final message, Engineer Yules?
Again, thank you to the organizers for giving us this opportunity for a mining company to talk about sustainability. And for Philex, ESG had been embedded in our DNA since the start of the mining company, because I think ESG is the overriding factor why we're at 63 years. I think we're now on our 63rd year of operations. And we owe it to our founders for having started ESG as a framework of their governance. And to us, ESG is really very important in the mining business because we are being hit on all fronts, especially with these illegal miners, and we continue to stand up and prove that we follow ESG principles in our operations, and we know that the truest sustainability reporting is on the ground. I think what the stakeholders would say would validate the numbers or the reports that we are giving out to the regulators. Again, thank you for giving us the opportunity for Philex to discuss about its sustainability reports. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you, Anne, and to Business Mirror, to all our esteemed speakers this morning, and especially to Commissioner Lee, and also to all our Facebook, to everyone watching on Facebook. Here in Mondelez, we're committed to grow the business by making snacks the right way, which positively impact both people and planet. Our sustainability program is intricately intertwined with our strategic plans, and we are committed to do business the right way. We have clear plans for our environmental, social, and governance programs by creating a future where both people and planet can thrive. And we call this sustainable snacking. That's all. Thank you again.
Thank you, Attorney Joseph. And for your final words, Commissioner Lee, please.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm really sorry about earlier. I got cut off, I think. To highlight the point I was trying to make earlier, and essentially you close as well. No,
Yes.
this is the right time. No, this is the best time actually to deal with and to focus on sustainability because there's already the focus and interest on it because of COVID. No, and I was trying to mention earlier that there are multiple studies saying that more and more people have started investing and focused on sustainability, sustainable bonds, green bonds, things like that. Now, no, precisely because the COVID has highlighted it. So I guess that's my point that I'm trying to make. Now is the perfect time. It is not something that we want to set aside to move forward and then say, na, we'll focus on that later because we're just trying to survive. No, it seems like from all indications, the interest is there, the focus is there, and it's clear that we need to do it. So why not now? So I guess that's the point I wanted to make, precisely because that sustainability, as I've been saying earlier, is everyone's responsibility. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Commissioner Lee. And with that, we end our coffee club discussion for this morning. Thank you to our guests for this very fruitful morning discussion. And I hope our audience has been enlightened on the need for sustainability reporting. Just before I go, another shout out to Filipino Mirror, to Attorney Francis, Gay, Caballo, Felix, Mark and Peter of SEC, Christabel and Sir Owen of BPI. Okay. Thank you to our editor-in-chief, Ms. Chuchay Fernandez, for pushing for this topic. Thank you to our partners, Mondelez International, Felix Mining Corporation, BPI, Clean Fuel, Gardenia, and Global Ferronical Holdings Incorporated. To the production team led by Ed Davat, Rix Villaruel, Sari Osorio, Philip Navarro. Thanks to the advertising sales team led by Alvin Tolosa, Shabang Clothor, Tim Mauricio, and Rodel Suarez. Tomorrow we have our freshly brewed session. Please join us at 10 a.m. where we will have our guest, Yang Yang Zhang of Send It, Philippines. This has been your host, Andrew De La Cruz, and see you all in our next Coffee Club session. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
po.
Bye-bye.
Have a good morning po.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Gina? Gutom na? Dapat Gardenia. Nutritious. Convenient. Gina? G. Gutom na? Gardenia. Gina? Oh, Gardenia na. Gina? Gutom na? Mag-Gardenia na. Masarap anytime, anyway, anywhere. Gina? G. Gutom na? Gardenia. Gina? Oh, Gardenia na. Gina? Gutom na? Dapat Gardenia. Nutritious. Convenient. Gina? G. Gutom na? Gardenia. Gina? Oh, Gardenia na.
The world is changing, and we know we can't face it alone. Good thing BPI has always been here for us. When we needed to buy what's important, BPI provided us with a choice to access a wide network of online merchants from the safety of our homes. When we needed to transfer funds, BPI connected us to millions of Filipinos securely. When we needed to send money to our loved ones and people who need it the most, BPI made it quicker and easier to anywhere in the Philippines. When we needed support, BPI made it possible, even without contact. BPI is a lifeline we can trust. In this new world, I am stronger with every step. Ready to take on tomorrow. Today. BPI. Ready today. Ready tomorrow.